Ethan never imagined that one careless moment would destroy everything he had built. He was a successful businessman, respected in his company and admired by many. At home, he had a loving wife, Sarah, who was pregnant with their first child. Life seemed perfect, but behind that perfect image, Ethan was hiding a dangerous secret. He was not alone that afternoon. Instead of being at work, Ethan was in a luxury apartment with another woman, his mistress, Lily. What started as a small distraction had slowly turned into a habit he couldn't control. He convinced himself it meant nothing, just a temporary escape from stress. But deep inside, he knew he was crossing a line he could never uncross. While he sat there, laughing and forgetting his responsibilities, something unexpected was happening at his office. A courier arrived. It was an official envelope, urgent and personal. When his assistant opened it and read the name, her expression changed immediately. She knew this was serious. Without wasting time, she called Ethan again and again, but his phone was off. Back in the apartment, Ethan had no idea what was waiting for him. When he finally returned to the office later that evening, his assistant handed him the envelope with trembling hands. Ethan opened it casually, but within seconds, his face turned pale. It was a divorce notice. From Sarah, his pregnant wife. His hands started shaking. His heart dropped. The room suddenly felt cold and heavy. He read the paper again, hoping it was a mistake, but it wasn't. Sarah knew. Tears filled his eyes as the reality hit him. The life he thought was stable, was already falling apart. But the biggest question was still unanswered. How did she find out? And was it already too late to fix everything? Keep watching to see what happens when a broken husband faces the consequences of his betrayal, and the shocking truth behind his wife's decision. Ethan couldn't believe what he was holding in his hands. The divorce papers felt heavier than anything he had ever carried. His mind was filled with confusion, fear, and regret. Just hours ago, he was laughing without a care. Now, everything had changed. He tried calling Sarah immediately, but she didn't answer. Again and again, he called, but there was only silence. Panic started to grow inside him. He rushed out of the office and drove straight home. His heart was beating fast, and his thoughts were racing. When he reached home, the house felt empty. Sarah was gone. Her clothes were missing. Her personal things were gone. It was as if she had already moved on, without saying a word. Ethan sat down, holding his head in his hands. Memories of Sarah filled his mind. Her smile, her kindness, and the way she always supported him. And now, she was carrying his child, alone. Meanwhile, Lily tried to contact him, but Ethan ignored her calls. For the first time, he realized how meaningless that relationship was compared to what he had lost. Hours later, Ethan received a message. It was from Sarah. She wrote only a few words. "I trusted you, but I choose my child and my peace now." Those words broke him completely. Ethan realized that this was not just about betrayal, it was about trust, respect, and the life they were supposed to build together. But deep inside, he knew one thing. He was not ready to lose her. Not like this. Days passed, but Ethan couldn't find peace. He stopped focusing on work. His mind was always with Sarah and the child she was carrying. The guilt inside him kept growing stronger. He decided to find her. After searching for days, he finally found where she was staying, a small apartment far from their home. It was simple, quiet, and far from the luxurious life she once had. When Ethan saw her, his heart broke. She looked tired but strong. There was pain in her eyes, but also determination. Ethan tried to speak, but words were not enough anymore. He apologized again and again, admitting his mistakes. He told her he was ready to change, ready to fix everything, ready to be a better husband and father. But Sarah was not the same woman anymore. She had changed. She told him calmly that love without respect has no future. She said she needed peace for herself and her child. She couldn't go back to a life filled with doubt and pain. Ethan realized that this was not something he could fix easily. Some mistakes leave scars that never fully disappear. Still, he didn't give up. He promised to be there, not as a husband, but at least as a responsible father. For the first time, Ethan understood the true meaning of responsibility. Months passed, and life slowly moved forward. Sarah gave birth to a healthy baby. She focused on building a peaceful life for her child, away from stress and betrayal. She became stronger, more independent, and more confident in her choices. Ethan kept his promise. He stayed involved as a father, supporting his child and respecting Sarah's boundaries. He never forced her to return. Instead, he worked on becoming a better person, not for himself, but for the family he once broke. Over time, Ethan learned that some actions cannot be undone, but growth is always possible. Sarah, on the other hand, found strength in herself. She proved that even after heartbreak, a person can rebuild life with courage and dignity. Their relationship was no longer the same, but it was honest. Sometimes, love doesn't end with being together. Sometimes, it changes into something different, something more real. If you want more emotional and powerful stories like this, subscribe now and don't miss the next that might change your perspective on love and life.